This season for the New England Patriots is the most ambitious season since the season that the New England Patriots beat the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl after Tom Brady was suspended 4 games for Deflategate. People thought the Patriots weren't even going to make the playoffs due to the fact that Tom Brady was suspended. We all know how that turned out. Not only that, the backup Jimmy Garoppolo won 3 out of 4 games he played. The Patriots making the playoffs, and then them not only making the Super Bowl, but winning it in the end after Atlanta choked 28-3 all the way to OT where the Patriots won. And then of course the whole Jimmy Garoppolo trade and accusations and all that. That's for a completely different video. In fact, we will be talking about that in the second part of this video. You might be wondering, second part? Is it going to be a part 2? Yeah. This video will be on why the Patriots, why they're not good this season. And the second part will be about who actually created the Patriots dynasty. The coach, or the 6th round pick known as Tom Brady. So, with all that out of the way, there are many reasons why the Patriots aren't good this season. So, with everything out of the way, let's just talk about those particular reasons. The first reason is the quarterback, Cam Newton. Now, before you people tell me that, wait, Cam Newton's trash? Cam Newton's bad? To me, this is what I think. So before you comment, angry comments, which I know that people will do, but just hear me out. Cam Newton, from his first 2 games with the New England Patriots, was completely different than what we saw with the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton looked like he was comfortable in this offense. He looked comfortable behind the offensive line. He looked comfortable passing to his targets. He was even more accurate than he was with Carolina, which is surprising because Cam Newton has never been the most accurate quarterback. He's most known for scrambling outside the pocket. So the fact that Cam Newton has been more accurate with the Patriots in 2 games than with the Panthers in general is very interesting. But I bring those 2 games up against the Dolphins, which, is the Dolphins, which now, if we're looking at it now, is a solid and quality win because the Dolphins are 3-3. They're 500. They're the second best team in the AFC East. Not only that, the Patriots beat the 500 team. The Patriots should have beaten the Seahawks. If it wasn't for Cam Newton running a predictable play, running it down the middle, or at least the left side middle, the Patriots should have beaten the Seahawks. I don't care if you're a Seahawks fan or just denying in general, the Patriots should have beaten the Seahawks. But the Seahawks defense predicted Cam Newton, and they were correct. So those 2 games, not only that Cam Newton was so accurate, that's most likely the most accurate game I've seen Cam Newton played in general, was against the Seahawks. I bring those 2 games up because, the games that he played against the Raiders, against the 49ers, and against the Broncos. Those 3 games, because of course Cam Newton got COVID and couldn't play against the Chiefs. Those 3 games, Cam Newton does not look good. He does not look good at all. In the words of Flight Reacts, he looks like butt juice. That's so stupid. Why would anyone ever say butt juice? Anyway, Cam Newton does not look the same. There are many particular reasons why. But But the main reasons are going to be in the next topic. But I want to talk about the quarterback himself rather than the people around him, and that's actually one of the main reasons why Cam Newton has suffered. But Cam Newton has been an injury-prone quarterback. So this could just be the injuries getting to him. But I don't believe that, because we've seen how Cam Newton performed in the first 2 games compared to the rest of the 3 games that he played in. He looked like 2 completely different quarterbacks. One of them looks like a top 10 quarterback in the entire NFL, and you consider him to be a top 5 if you really squinted. And then the other one, well, if I'm going to be frank, looks like a 3rd-string quarterback panicking inside the pocket. You see the difference between a top 10 quarterback and a 3rd-string? Yeah, that's very strange. And you know the difference when the Patriots' actual 3rd-string quarterback, Jarrett Stidham, because Brian Holder was technically the 2nd-string, the 3rd-string Jarrett Stidham, to me at least, outplayed Cam Newton when he played the Chiefs for like those 5 minutes, or at least for the first quarter, and then for the rest of the game against the 49ers. That's compared to Cam Newton for those 3 games after he gained COVID, not before. But also, coronavirus. Cam Newton does not look good. The thing is, the game against the Raiders, yes, even though the Patriots won, Cam Newton did not look good. Why? Because he either got coronavirus during the game, during his time in Seattle, or during the time in Las Vegas. The point is, Cam Newton got coronavirus, and it took him a bit before he actually had to opt out. And we know that coronavirus takes a bit to get to because we see it in Stephon Gilmore. The game after that Cam Newton is out for COVID, Stephon Gilmore out with COVID after the game against the Chiefs. Is it because of coronavirus? Is it because of the injuries? Who knows? But that's the quarterback in general, right? He said that was accurate. He's injury prone. He's coming back from a virus. It's very interesting. But there are more particular reasons why I think the Patriots are suffering this season. In fact, one of them has to do with the offense. And oh boy, it's bad. The offense for the New England Patriots is not good. I gotta be honest, it's not good. Let's talk about the problems with the offense. The offensive line is injured to hell, and the receiving talent. So let's talk about the offensive line because that's something very quickly. Most of them got injured. Shaq Mason, he got injured, and then other guys also got injured during those games the Patriots played so far. So that's not really Cam Newton's fault. That's just mainly just the fact that there's been no preseason games and stuff before the regular season. So that's not really the Patriots' fault. It's just unluckiness, right? We saw that with the 49ers, and we see that with the Broncos, right? Both of those teams are battered straight to hell. But I think the main reason is the receiving talent. Let me ask you a question. Can you name any of the New England Patriots receivers? Like, non-New England Patriots fans, let's think about, Chargers fans, Washington fans, Saints fans. Name me any receivers from the New England Patriots that you didn't search up. Well, let's think about it. Julian Edelman, he's still on the team. He didn't get traded. He is a receiver that you can name. N'Keal Harry, he's a first-round pick from last season. That's it. That's literally all you can name. And I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't even know who N'Keal Harry was. N'Keal Harry is a first round wide receiver that we took out of Louisville. Right? Last season he only played 8 games due to the fact that he was injured during those 8 games before he came back, and due to the fact that he had some practice or even learned the playbook, due to the fact he was injured, he did not look the greatest for the rest of those 8 games, and including the playoff game against the Titans. Which is why the people were saying that Tom Brady, he needs more offensive talent, right? He needs targets to throw to, because he has nobody except from an injured Julian Edelman and a first-round wide receiver who was injured for half the season and has not looked the greatest due to it. Did he heal Harry? He looks better than he did last season, but he can't separate. Like, you literally can't throw to N'Keal Harry because he can't separate from the cornerback or the safety or whatever. Now, I want to talk about receivers from N'Keal Harry's draft class. Because N'Keal Harry was the second wide receiver picked behind Marquise Brown from the Baltimore Ravens. Here are the wide receivers that the Patriots could have picked over N'Keal Harry. A.J. Brown. The only rookie receiver from N'Keal Harry's draft class to get over 1,000 yards. This is the same team that has, Derrick Henry. The ones that you guys say, Derrick Henry, carry the Titans. And yet a rookie receiver has over 1,000 yards. Okay. DK Metcalf. He was selected in the 5th round. He was the second best receiver in his draft class from last season. And there are plenty of more receivers. Those are just the 2 big names. We could have had those 2. Those 2 were picked later in the draft. Which is surprising because, the Patriots are really great at drafting great players late in the draft. Nope. Not at all. In our running backs, that's literally it. The great players we have is Cam Newton, who does not look the greatest right now, and our running backs. Yeah, I'm sorry, but our running backs can't play every single receiving position. They can't block and become tight ends. They can just do vertical catches as receivers. They can't throw the football 60 yards as a quarterback. They can't do that. That's another reason why Cam Newton is struggling. It's because of the talent around him. And that's why Tom Brady left. Because he didn't want to struggle with no talent around him. And guess what the Patriots did this season in this draft? First round pick. Did they go for an offensive player? Did they go for a defensive? Nope. They trade down with the Chargers. What did they do for the next couple picks? Tight ends. Tight ends. My God. No disrespect tight ends. There are some great tight ends out there. George Kittle. Travis Kelce. Rob Gronkowski. I'm sorry for that, but... And there are legends out there, like Tony Gonzalez. Shannon Sharp. And there are new coming tight ends who are coming from the ground to the up. Darren Waller. Like, that's a good example of a tight end coming out of nowhere and surprising people with his great talent. The point is, I'm going to be honest, the Patriots are shit at drafting receivers. And I don't mean receiver, I mean wide receivers. Because, the Patriots drafted, Rob Gronkowski, Aaron Hernandez, and I know that Aaron Hernandez is something we shouldn't be talking about, but the fact that Aaron Hernandez was arguably better than Gronk proves that, the Patriots are great at drafting tight ends, but one of them is a fucking dumbass with CTE. Speaking of CTE, Antonio Brown had CTE. We brought him in. We are great at bringing in receivers, not drafting them. Guess what type of receivers did we bring in? Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, Brandon Cooks, Randy Moss. Those are just some examples of receivers we brought in. All of them gone. But it's not just the offense that has been struggling. It's also been the defense. And you know, when the defense is playing bad, that something is wrong with this team. Now, we need to talk about Stephon Gilmore and the rest of the defense. First off, Stephon Gilmore, what has happened to you? Like, generally speaking, what happened to you? Because I can tell you, if I'm being frankly honest, you haven't been looking like the last season, Stephon Gilmore. And I know that, it's going to be hard to compete against MVP as it was last season. They look like two completely different quarterbacks. Granted, Stephon Gilmore, as I stated before, did get coronavirus after the Chiefs game. Most likely from Cam. But even then, Gilmore has not looked like the same cornerback. In fact, there have been better cornerbacks on the roster than Gilmore. A good example would be Jonathan Jones and, of course, Jackson. If you don't know who Jackson is, he was the third string quarterback, and now he is arguably the best. But speaking about coronavirus, this also attacks the defense, because even though not many defensive players got coronavirus, over 60 players in the entire NFL opted out due to coronavirus. The majority of them were the New England Patriots, mainly the defensive players. Devontae Hightower, Patrick Chubb, those are the big names, right? Those are the big name defensive players from the Patriots. They are injured. And I don't know what to say about that, but this defense, not only their best player from last season had a virus and not looking great this season. Defensive players opting out due to this virus. And then also, a good example, Kyle Van Noy. He was a free agent and he signed with the Dolphins. And the Dolphins are now 500, as I stated before. So that also affects the Patriots' defense. But there's also been one more reason why the Patriots have not been looking good this season. And it's something that you're probably not expecting. The coach himself, Bill Belichick. Now, most people know Bill Belichick, right? The coach for the Patriots for 20 years. Did you know that he was also the coach of the Browns? In fact, he was the last head coach to bring the Browns at 4-1. Yeah, he was that coach for the Browns. 4-1 after 5 games. With also Nick Saban. We all know who Nick Saban is if you know college football. As I was, fucking humiliated against the Justin Herbert video, which I take full credit for not knowing jack shit. Well, I should have done, less than I should have known, but And then, of course, the whole sign of the Jets, and then a day later, quits. But something that people don't know, Bill Belichick started out with the Giants. Yeah, he did. He actually started with the Giants as a defensive coordinator, and guess what happened? He won Super Bowls with the Giants, which is very interesting, but it is true. And you would think that he is a legend. Of course he is a legend. He has more Super Bowl rings than Tom Brady. So you might be thinking, oh yeah, of course, Bill Belichick, he has to be the better one, right? This is a different video, but Bill Belichick is not looking the same this season. What's a good example? When you would think of Bill Belichick, this guy's great at clock management, with his timeouts, has looked complete garbage with his timeouts. He does not look the same. With his whole clock managing, with his whole using timeouts properly, stuff like that. And there's no way it's just age is getting to him. There is no way you drop from being a top 3 head coach in the entire NFL to just, I don't want to say like bottom 10, but like around the 15 mark. Like 15 to 20 mark. That is how depressing this team is looking like. So the problems with the Patriots are the quarterback situation, the offensive talent, the defensive talent, and the coach. So literally, the problem with the Patriots is literally everything. Is literally everything. And you know there's a problem when the Broncos beat you by just field goals. No touchdowns at all. There's nothing else for me to say, but the only thing I had to say is just hopefully I can get part 2 out there quickly, or quickly enough where, you guys can see that one, but also at the same time I don't sound like a dumbass and I accidentally say things I don't want to say and all that. But part 2 will be about who won the breakup, Brady or Belichick. And might be a little different than what you would think, but I don't know. If you guys agree with me, disagree with me, tell me in the comments down below. Subscribe. Please. I see all these views and I'm like, oh yeah, Herba video, or 500 views. Nothing really different. And this video probably get 0 views as well, but it's cool. As long as people can see it and be like, I disagree, or I agree with him. But yeah. Patriot Wild, and I'm gonna cry my corner now because we're probably gonna lose whatever team we're playing next.